is that comparison.
Right there, bro.
Comparison is the killer
Of all motivation.
satisfaction.
Oh, yeah, and satisfaction.
Because you can be satisfied with what God has given you if you stop comparing your gifts to the one God gave somebody else. That person that has a 48-inch vertical, maybe they're not a good leader.
Right.
Because they weren't given that gift.
Correct.
Right? Maybe they can't prophesy because that's not their gift.
Right. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses.
Right? But we spend a lifetime trying to become what others are and trying to possess the gifts that others have been given and the talents they have been given.
Right.
That we never develop our own. Guys, what's going on? How you guys doing out there? I hope everybody's doing all right. Today, we have a special episode. As always, pumped up, excited. I feel like this episode is going to change perspectives, change lives. And it is episode 11.
No more fingers, bro.
Episode 11 of Dry Bones Podcast. Can you believe it?
That's crazy, dude.
Wow.
Perplexed.
Almost 3 months.
I'm perplexed, brother.
It doesn't even feel real. It doesn't feel real. But we have a topic that is not spoken about a lot. And that topic, Christian, you know what it is?
Oh, my gosh.
It is.
Today's topic is going to be about something that that was always brought up early in the early church. Something that was always, held on to tightly at that time, but it slowly started drifting away. And it's something that's incredibly important because God has, He has allowed us to have this kind of dominion over many things in our lives.
Yes.
So what is it that we're talking about? I'm not going to beat around the bush. The lost art of stewardship. The lost art of stewardship.
Wow.
So, woof.
Listen, it may sound a little boring to the people that don't fully understand it, but I promise you, you want to stay on and you want to listen to this one. If anything, I think this is going to be our best episode yet.
Woof. I'm ready for it.
Very passionate about this topic. It is something that I've had to learn the hard way in my life. And what our hope is, right, every time we do these podcasts is that anything that we have either experienced or has been revealed to us by the Holy Spirit, we're hoping to be able to bring it to you guys in a format where, a lot of you may be going through something, but can potentially, go through it with a little bit more ease than others because you have the tools to get through it. And obviously the tool is always going to be the scripture. It's always going to be prayer and fasting. We talk about those three things.
That's
and
right.
So before we get going, I'd like to thank all our subscribers. I'd like to thank all of our people who share the content. Everybody who's liking, everybody who's commenting. My goodness.
Oh, man.
Some of your comments out there, they're making us feel like, we're actually working towards the kingdom.
For sure.
Sometimes we feel unworthy.
I know.
And then we read the comments, we read some of the private messages, the way that it's impacting you guys. And I promise you, it's not taken for granted. We're very blessed. We're very humbled. We're very thankful for your support.
All of them. We read all of them.
And we do.
We
do.
literally go through the messages and sometimes we're sending screnershots to each other of things that people have said to us that have touched us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's
impacted
crazy.
us and encouraged us. Yeah. So, I'll get started.
Yeah.
I'll get started and then I'll kick it off to you.
Go ahead.
Because again, this is a very, to me, important topic.
Yeah.
Stewardship, right? What is stewardship? And I want to start there by defining stewardship.
That's important because, to be honest with you, I didn't know what stewardship was. I mean, I heard of the word many times, bro.
Yeah.
I just, to sit there and be in front of people and say, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's kind of tough sometimes. So it's just like, until I finally just asked you. Like, I was like, bro, that was like last week. I was like.
And in many Bible translations, the word calls for us to be good stewards.
Yes. That's what I've heard before.
We have to be good stewards. And stewardship in itself is the management, right, of something that doesn't belong to you. If I were to end the pod here, if we ended the pod here, the message already been disseminated. Stewardship is the management of something that does not belong to you, something that's been entrusted to you.
Wow.
For you to take care of.
Yes.
for you to manage it, right? And so when we talk about it in a biblical context,
Mm-hmm.
then what are we stewards of? Is
Wow.
the question that I used to ask myself.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, Lord? Is it my family? Is it my finances? Is it my ministry?
Yeah.
Right? Is it my emotions? Right? Is it my actions? What am I supposed to steward?
Yeah.
And when we understand the Bible from the beginnings, from the origins, everything that we have access to, from the moment that we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, everything belongs to God. None of it belongs to us.
Right.
And so when we understand that concept, we recognize that our posture in life
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be a posture of stewardship, of good stewardship.
Right.
In life, because nothing belongs to us.
Nothing.
And so when we think about the creation, I'll start there, right? It took God 6 days to create everything.
Yep.
And then he rested.
On the 7th, yep.
Right? But when he created everything, and then he created man and created woman from the man, he gave them power and dominion over all things on earth.
So he entrusted the things of the planet into the hands of the man and the woman, Adam and Eve.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that the sun was created by God, the moon was created by God, the earth was created by God, the waters were created by God.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in this planet was created by God.
Yeah.
And everything that we see materialized today, these sofas, sofa chairs, this table, right? These mics, everything that we see today came from nothing, right? So all the elements have already existed.
Yeah.
Because God created the elements to make these mics.
Right. They didn't come from nothing. They came from things that have already been created
The
and established
elements were created
by God. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? But these things in itself, they came from nothing.
That actually reminds me of the scripture in Hebrews. Actually, I'm not sure if you heard of it. The scripture where it says, every house has a builder. But
I have not.
But the builder of all things is God.
Oh, yes. In Spanish.
Yeah, same deal, right? So it's like you build a house, you're the construction guy. You built it, you got the wood, you made it.
Yes.
But you use things that God created.
Correct.
So the builder of all homes,
of all things,
is God.
Yes. And so when we start to look at it from its infancy like that, we realize that, my goodness, nothing belongs to us. My God, everything belongs to you.
Right.
And so we start understanding the responsibility we have in front of us as well. That when God put it in our hands initially, before sin entered the world, we were supposed to be good stewards.
Yes.
And if we really think about it, brother, we really start to think, we were bad stewards of what God gave us from the start. Because sin entered the world through disobedience.
Yes.
But when God gave Adam the instructions of what to do with everything that was in front of him, the trees, the animals, the garden.
Yeah. They didn't demonstrate good stewardship.
Correct. One direction that he said is, don't eat from this tree.
Yep.
This fruit, everything here, you can touch, you can move around, you can chop up, you can make things with it. You know, you can manage the animals, you can move them around, you can build a herd here. You can build a kennel here. You can do anything with everything that is in this earth except this tree.
Right. Ah, man, I don't like even talking about that promise. I mean, that I hate talking about it because it's just like, I mean, if I know if I was in that position, it probably would be just as difficult. I'm not going to say that I would do any better than Adam, but the whole deal is that, like, bro, it was there. We had the possibility to live without having to deal with any of it, right? We like, it was there for us, bro.
Yes.
Like, to be able to build and expand and live life in a paradise on an earth that is just peaceful, bro.
But the problem is, Christian, that we have a recurrent theme. It started
humans.
there and it hasn't ended. God entrusts things in our hands, but we're not good stewards of the things God puts in our hand.
Wow. And
so that's why a lot of the things that happens in our life, they happen because we weren't good stewards. We made bad decisions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, God puts ministry in some of us. He calls us to do different things in this world.
Right.
We've talked about it before. Pastors, evangelists, prophets, you name it, right? I believe in the fivefold ministry. And when God calls people to do these different things, many times we believe that we have the ability alone to manage these things, not understanding that it never belonged to us.
Right.
It always came from God.
Yes.
And so we need direction from God in every decision that we make.
Because it's impossible to be a good steward without God.
Impossible.
He's the one who guides you in how to be a good
Yes.
steward. Right.
And so we have to ask him for direction, right? It starts there, right? It starts in that infancy. And then you start thinking about it modern day.
Yeah.
Right? And all of the things that we're stewarding now with the rise in technology, social media, vehicles. Now we got EV vehicles out there, the way they move, right? The way that we can send a message through the media. Like back in the day, if you weren't a newscaster or part of a TV,
you weren't live broadcasting anywhere.
You couldn't broadcast anything.
Yeah,
this that we're doing here, right? This has been entrusted on men now to be good stewards of. And so that's what you see, even though we get a lot of positive messages through podcasts,
right?
We also get a lot of damaging messages through podcasts.
That's true.
Because people believe that everything that they have in front of them was something that they've purchased on their own, right? That they've invested on their own. And because of that, they could do what they want with what's in front of them.
Right.
And that's just not the way that God works. Because again, who gave them the strength to be able to work and earn the money? Or who gave them the intelligence and the wisdom to make those investments, to earn the finances, to purchase that equipment? And so if the giver of life and the giver of health and the giver of wealth wasn't the one who allowed you in his grace and his mercy to walk enough in this earth, to move enough, right, to make good enough decisions in this earth, if he would have stopped you in your tracks, right, if there would have been a stumbling block that could have destroyed you on your way to your destination, you would have never gotten to the point where you've been able to purchase that equipment.
Right.
Where you would have been able to buy that house.
Right.
Where you would have been able to buy that car.
Right.
And so the biggest problem is that when we receive those things, right, we receive it with basically an instruction manual of stewardship.
Right.
This is what you're supposed to do with this. This is what I want out of this. But because we don't talk to God.
Yes. Right.
How many times have we bought things? I know I have.
Brother, me and you both, even together.
And guess what happens? I don't read the instruction manual and then I try to put it together. Bro, I think I've had things that I've had to build 7, 8, 9, 10 different times because I'm trying to build it. Just, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm going to eyeball this.
I happen to be the instruction manual kind of guy, unfortunately. You know, people call me the fiend. But I happen to be that guy.
You different, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Leah's the opposite. She's the, let me try it myself.
And most of us are.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Most of us are. It's
true.
actually a common joke with men that we don't read the instruction manual.
That's true. It's true.
We just try to put things together, right?
Yeah.
So you're the anomaly.
I happen
obviously.
to be. Yeah.
But for the most part, that's how it works. And what ends up happening with us is because we didn't read the instruction manual. We fail over and over and over again until we make a decision.
Yes, to look
to
at
say,
the instructions.
where's the manual?
Right.
Where's the instructions that this came with? And when we find the instructions, we realize that if we followed the instructions from the start, we probably would have gotten right the first time.
And oftentimes, I'd probably even say that the instruction manual doesn't typically come with it. You have to ask for it. You have to say, God, give me the instruction manual.
Yes.
Now I need your help. Now I want your help. Yeah. Now I want to be able to do this, right? Because a lot of the times, people are just going to try and wing it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And really, you know, as an over-encompassing term, right? Like, to be a steward, right? Is, right, having the responsibility of managing something that doesn't belong to you. And then when you realize, like, I feel like it's an oversimplification to say nothing belongs to us. Like, it really is deep. Like, nothing. Zero. Like the way that we feel, our bodies
that's right.
don't belong to us. Our bodies
that's deep.
Don't belong to us.
That's deep. People don't get that.
You see what I'm saying? How are we going to be a good steward of our bodies? A gift. Things that are given by God are gifts.
That's right.
So if I have this flesh, and I'm eating seed oils for a whole week, for months and months and months, and I'm just everything inflammatory, bad, not caring about the temple of God.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, God lives in us.
That's true.
By means of his spirit.
Yes.
And he's not going to live in a broken temple. We have to make sure that we care for the temple.
Oh my goodness,
What do the
man.
people? What do the Jewish people do
I want
in
to
the
jump
temple?
out the chair, man.
Right? In the first century,
This is not spoken about.
In the second temple, in all of the temples, they had to make sure it was pristine.
Yeah,
all of the holy
that's right.
places, pristine, clean. Make sure that it wasn't,
take care of God's house.
Take care of His
Which
house.
Which now is this.
So how can we be good stewards? What I wanted to bring to this episode was, how can we be a good steward to the body that has been given to us by God, right? Yeah. And a lot of the times we need to start paying more close attention to that.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't realize that half of the things they go to the grocery stores, bro, and buy is full of 100 ingredients. I've never seen until I went to Hershey. I went to the chocolate park the other day. What is it? The chocolate factory.
The Hershey chocolate factory.
Or something like that. Yeah, Chocolate World or something like that. I went to Chocolate World just on Saturday. Okay, I brought Joshua and we didn't have the baby. She stayed with my mother-in-law, but it was me, Leah, and Joshua. We went. Have a good time there. I figured I looked up a couple things that we could do around the area, and I said, okay, we can go to Hershey Park. Well, the Chocolate World. We took them there, right? And then you realize we go to a place where you can create your own chocolate bar. Right? Really cool. And I thought it was a great experience. I never did nothing like that when I was a kid, bro.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let's head in here. Let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna create our own chocolate bar. Joshua, he got excited. He's like, oh man, that's so awesome. You get to put your name on it. You get to put a whole bunch of stuff on it. Customize it however you want. Yeah. A Hershey's chocolate bar. We go into the computer system. We start plugging in the information. I realized anytime you want to pick an ingredient, a topping, there's a little I, right? That is for information. You could press it. So I got to the sprinkles area because Joshua wanted some sprinkles. And I was just curious. I said, what is this little I? Boop. Hit on that screen. It shows all the ingredients that are in sprinkles, bro. Sprinkles. Something that is this little.
Red 40, blue dye.
Brother. That didn't even have
What else?
It. Red 40. Blue dye. 2 different types of yellow dye. Corn oil. Vegetable oil. Soybean oil.
No.
Canola oil.
No.
Why is there
Come
8,
on, man.
brother? Why is there 8 oils in sprinkles, bro?
Wow.
And I was looking at Lee and I said, okay, we're having a good time. I'm not gonna go crazy, but let's enjoy ourselves. But just keep in mind, Leah, that there's 78 ingredients in this sprinkle right here, this little sprinkle. So I just need you to understand that this is not made for us, bro.
The magnitude of what you're doing, yes.
At the end of the day, if somebody lives a lifestyle, anytime you live a lifestyle in abundance where you overdo things, overindulge, right, in the things that will damage this body, this temple, are we being good stewards to the body?
Absolutely not.
We're not. And this is something entrusted in us.
Yes.
Entrusted to mankind. You have a blessing.
Yes.
Okay. There's a statistic that I watched the scientists say that when you take DNA and you look at it, and you look at all the possibilities, because your DNA makes up who you are, how you look. When you look at all the possibilities in this double helix, a DNA can have so many billions and trillions of different possibilities of possible humans that can be made and born, that he actually said most people that can exist will never exist.
That's interesting.
Will never exist.
Really interesting.
So if you exist, you have defeated the ultimate odds.
You have beat the odds already.
So at the end of the day, you are a gift. There's something special about you.
Yes.
Most people that can exist won't. So what are you going to do with the body that you have?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just I wanted to bring that in here because
that's good.
Being a good steward of what we are in essence, the temple of God, we should really pay attention to a lot of the things.
Absolutely. And I think it's a travesty, bro. I think it's a travesty when people destroy their bodies, right? When they don't take care of it in a physical aspect at the most, when we're talking about it, it's like you have people that will eat themselves into a position of being sick.
Oh, man.
You have people that will consume drugs to the point of making themselves sick. You have people that will do unnatural things with their body to the point of damaging their body, right?
Permanently, too.
Permanently, correct, right? You have so many people not realizing the consequences of their actions because they believe that their body belongs to them. And the scariest part, right? And this is not talked about in the churches, bro. So I want people to listen to me closely because this is very scary. The scariest part is that I see many people many people, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to ask for prayer for God to heal you.
Right.
Because I know damn well I have.
It's not a bad thing.
Right?
Absolutely not.
That's not a bad thing.
That's an amazing. That means you have
But
faith.
what I think the problem is, right, overall in our culture, in society, especially in Western Christianity, that the belief is that because we have not learned what stewardship really represents, the belief is because it's our body, right? As long as we're going to church, as long as we're God-fearing people, as long as we do right by others, our body doesn't really come into the equation of taking care of.
Yes.
So we destroy our bodies and then we ask God to build it back.
Wow. It's like you're destroying the very thing you're asking for.
You see what so it's like an oxymoron of sorts.
It is, yeah.
How is it that with the same breath that you're asking to be healed, it's the same mouth that you use to destroy the temple of God?
Wow.
And so people go through life causing the damage that then they're asking God to heal, right? So would it be fair if I walked into my job, right, and walked into my boss's office and flipped the table, flipped everything that was on it, fell on the ground, a whole bunch of mess, papers all over the place, pictures all over the place, everything, and then I said, for no apparent reason, and then I said, fix it.
Wow, that's a good
Fix it.
You destroying something you want him to fix.
I destroyed your table.
Yes.
Right? I destroyed it. And then I'm asking you to fix what I destroyed?
Wow. Yeah, bro, this doesn't make sense. And especially when you put it like that.
It's hypocritical in nature, brother.
It's crazy.
Right? And again, I'm not saying that those people that are out there, there's some autoimmune diseases that are things that, you know, we don't bring upon ourselves.
No,
right? There's genetic things, factors that come into the equation. There are things out there that are not caused by us. But for the most part, if we're going to be honest, we cause our own illnesses and disease.
Oh my gosh. That is, bro, that's too deep for some people, bro. That right there is a little too deep for some people. And you know what, to be honest, I don't care, bro. It's important.
We got to talk about it.
It's important to let people know that most things, diseases, diabetes, I'm going to say it, cancer.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that people will try to say, oh, it's hereditary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is evidence that there's certain types of hereditary markers, but that's just predisposition. And it's not necessarily that it's the reason why you got something, man. It's like, brother, the reason why you're getting cancer, the reason why you're getting diabetes is because you're eating garbage.
Yeah.
Stop eating garbage.
Yeah.
Brother, and I know it sounds easy to say, and it is, trust me.
And it's difficult because I'm pretty sure there's going to be people out there going through these things.
Yes.
And we're not being insensitive to it.
Right.
We're actually trying to give a warning.
Yes.
We're trying to give a warning based on, I don't only feel like we've received an awakening physically, an awakening in this earth. I think it's a spiritual awakening for us. Where we've understood that we weren't taking care of the temple of God. And this is not about being fat or skinny.
No, it's not. It's
because we know skinny people that are not doing the right thing with their temple, and we know fat people that are not doing the right thing with their temple.
Correct.
Right? So it's not about how you look from a physical standpoint. It's about the decisions that you're making and what you're entering into the temple of God.
Yes.
What you're consuming.
And a lot of people have a lot more control than they believe. And that's
all
thing.
The control is in their hands.
You know, they have all of the control to be able to take care of what God has given them.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, why is God going to continue to give you something that you keep stomping on?
Yes.
You're going to keep stomping on something that God has given you.
Come on, man.
You see what I'm saying? So there's going to be people saying, and listen, I'm just going to say it. There's going to be people. Why wasn't this person healed?
Yeah.
Why wasn't this person going through this? Why didn't God do this for him, but he did it for him? And why did God make this happen for him? I was one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
When my grandmother passed away, I always thought to myself, and I said, I was begging for a miracle from God. I was praying. I was crying by myself in my car, driving every day from that hospice back home. And I would just ask God, like, please heal her. I know you have the power, God. I know you're the Almighty, and nothing's impossible for you. But I just ask for this.
Yeah.
If it's in your will, God, please. And it was something that I begged for and begged for and begged for. Wow. And when I realized that when she passed away, it hurt me. It hurt me. I felt hurt by God. I felt hurt by God because I felt like either I wasn't good enough for him to hear me. I started evaluating everything in my life. I took a step down from like the zeal that I had and the studying habits that I had. I took a step down from all of that because I needed to compartmentalize what I was going through. You know what I'm saying? And I felt mad with God, bro. I was mad. I was mad that God didn't bring her back or heal her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that feel this, and that's why I'm saying it, because I'm speaking it from experience.
Yes.
You know, that it's not to try to judge anybody, or
Right.
it's something that I haven't been through. It's something I went through.
Yeah.
And I was that guy that was pretty much blaming God.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that go through, that have been through it or will go through it at one point or
But
another.
they haven't
in
had
their
the
life.
guidance. They haven't had anybody step up. And these conversations are not had in the church, brother.
You know?
I've been in church for 22 years.
They're not.
And they're not had in the church. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people are left on their own and they don't understand that stewardship is not just the belief is, the common belief is that stewardship is about finances.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, when you talk about stewardship, is what are you doing with your finances?
Right.
And that I'm gonna break down. I have 6 points that I have here on a PDF that I want to provide to people as to what stewardship really represents and what we're supposed to be stewarding.
It's an over-encompassing term.
Exactly, are going to surprise people. We started with the body, which is crazy. I had that was one of my things that I wanted to share. We started with the body, so great, right? Because you can't do anything that God has called you to do if you don't feel up to doing the things God is calling you to do. And we are causing many times the fatigue, right? We're causing the lack of motivation, right? We're causing sometimes those headaches, the fog,
yes,
right? When we can't really think about things straight. I know because again, we have experience being there,
right?
And for long periods of time, I tried to figure out what was going on in my body,
right?
And bro, it's like crazy when you have people that God has enlightened in that field. For example, in the dietitians, there's biologists, human biologists. There's different people that God has enlightened to come out of just the secular space of trying to heal people and get them better, right? And then get them on their way and that's it.
Right.
But how do you make a long-lasting impact? And we understood that it's the decisions that you make every day that give you a long-lasting impact. And some people might feel great now and they might think this is a joke and a game.
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't a game because we all feel invincible until we get sick.
Yep. And I was one of those people in the third party sense. I was one of those people that used to say, brother, you're eating organic, you're spending 10 times more than money.
Yeah.
Eating all this organic fruits and all these organic vegetables. What you're doing is you're not allowing your body to be able to fight off the things that you're going to come in contact in the natural world. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself filtered food. And how's your body ever going to learn and fight against? That's how I used to think, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm
ignorant.
saying? Because I was ignorant.
Had anybody ever talked to you about stewardship at that point?
No.
We just talked about it the other day that was a new concept.
Yeah.
Right? You probably understood the things around it or what it entailed, but the term never came together.
The term was new
stewardship.
to me. You know what I'm saying? And my grandmother, unfortunately, was one of those people. Now that I look back, and after we get in our health journey, because we started doing that together too.
Yes, we did.
And I look back, and I realized my grandmother wasn't eating right, bro. She didn't eat right. She ate all the bad foods, all of the heavy grains. All of, you know what I'm saying? And it's just...
And it's part of our culture, so we think it's a joke.
That rice and beans,
it hurts
brother.
me
I love rice and beans.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
If I could eat it every day, like I did when I was a child, I would.
Yes.
But unfortunately, a lot of our parents were uneducated and ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I'm not saying it in a negative sense. A lot of
meaning that they just don't know enough.
They just don't know.
Yeah.
That's what the word ignorant really means.
Right.
They were ignorant to the fact that some of these things were not helping you, they were harming you.
Yeah, they weren't ignorant.
And the biggest scam in the planet is called the food pyramid. Right? And so a lot of parents thought they were doing the right thing as well, try to educate themselves. But they weren't doing the right thing because they were not enough people that were awakened spiritually to be able to tell us, hey, this is how we were meant to eat from the start.
Yes.
I mean, think about the oil that's most talked about in the Bible. What oil is it?
Oh my God.
Olive oil.
Yeah, it's true. Olive oil.
That's the most that's talked about. And it is one of the healthiest oils in the entire earth.
Yes, they only used extra virgin cold press.
Olive oil.
Yeah, have you seen how they pressed it?
How they pressed it, yes. I've seen it. In Israel, in those Middle Eastern countries,
yes.
A lot of the places that you go to are still so old school that they're pressing the oil, the olives, the right way to get the oil.
The cold press, without the machinery and all of that.
So you start there, right? And you start thinking about what they ate. Right? At what point did they have the ability to process food?
That's recent.
That is recent stuff.
Very recent.
And so why also have we had 1,000-fold% increase, 2,000% increase in diabetes, 1,600% increase in autoimmune disease? Why do we have these increases if it does not correlate when we started processing food?
Of course. And when did it start? What does they call that? The Industrial Revolution? Is that what they call it?
The Industrial Revolution is when everything started, right? And mainly when people came out of the war, the first war, and then when the second World War II came, that's when the industrialization of everything started expanding.
Just in everything in general.
Correct.
Factories and all
of that. They wanted to be able to provide to the soldiers quick fixes, quick food, right? So that they could be strong and healthy, they thought, right? And so they wanted to find quick things because it would take too long, right? And so this is where it all began. And so the body is something that we got to store. There's no doubt about that. But I want to hit on a couple other points because again, I have a PDF that I kind of put together with things that I looked up. And so I want to share this with people because I think it is immensely important.
That was awesome.
The second thing that I want to talk about stewarding is the stewardship of time. Time, look, bro, I could sit here and do 50 episodes just on time.
Oh my gosh.
The book of Ecclesiastes, especially Ecclesiastes 3. I recommend for all of our viewers to go out there and read Ecclesiastes 3. My favorite chapter of the Bible, and Ecclesiastes period is my favorite book of the Bible.
Well, I didn't know that. That's your favorite.
It's my favorite book of the Bible. You know why? Because the wisest man on earth wrote it. And all he talked about is mismanaging time. And all of the consequences, negative at that came his way, even though he was the wisest man on earth and the richest by far. With all that being said, because of mismanaging his time, it caused him so much pain and so much suffering. Ephesians 5, verses 15 and 16 say, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because their days are evil." So the Lord is warning us that if we get too caught up in all of the things that this world provides, we are going to lose the management, the stewardship of time, which at all times, from the beginning to the end, belongs to him. How come he is called the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end?
That's right.
God is in control of all times.
That's right.
And so when we are given time in our day, remember, it's a gift from God because not everybody's promised that time. Right. You're not promised the next day.
What are you doing with your time?
Correct.
You'll hear that. Even a lot of gurus will say stuff like, what are you doing with your time? Right? Because everybody always tries to brag. What am I going to do with 24 hours in a day?
Right.
You ever hear that phrase? What am I going to do with 24 hours? Oh, well, this is how I would split the first 5. You ever heard the joke where there was a guy who was like, well, I split every single hour into a day each. So my 24 hours is like 24 days, and it's like a running joke.
I haven't heard it, but it's good.
5 hours, it's like my 5th day. It's like I'm already in my week. So people come up with different like concepts. Some of them silly, but they come up with different concepts to try to interpret time in a different way so that they can help themselves and trick their minds into being able to take advantage more of what we are given. So stewardship of time, even in a secular, worldly, like different mindset that is not spiritual, people understand that's important, right?
They do.
Just imagine, and in a spiritual sense, taking it to the next level, that God, when he has granted you this time, because when you wake up and you breathe breath through your lungs, you realize that, and everybody always prays for it and doesn't realize what they're praying for. Thank you, God, for the breath in my lungs.
Yes.
Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning, right? So what he's doing is he just gifted you 24 hours more. Every day you're getting a perpetual gift of time.
A gift.
You see what I'm saying? So we are consistent. What are you going to do today?
Yes.
With this gift that I've given you?
Isn't that brother? A gift.
Mm-hmm. A gift, literally.
And sometimes we spend most of that time complaining about what we don't have.
Or about what happened with the wasted time yesterday.
Exactly. Harping on the past.
Yes.
If we only understood that every moment is a gift and an opportunity of God for us to steward it correctly, make a difference, make an impact, help others. Right? And even the gurus, as you say, know it. How do you be successful? Well, one of the number one rules for success is how do you manage your time? I've learned it because by the grace of God, I've had the opportunity to, in many areas of my life, be successful. Right? And I've been able to be successful. I tell you that all the time. That's one of the things that I feel like I strongly try to like move you in the right direction of.
Yeah.
Right? The management of time. Since you met me.
Of course.
I've never been the most skilled at anything that I do. Nothing, bro. I've never been, I look at the next person and say, well, or look at a group of people and say, well, I'm the best person here at this.
Right.
Oh, well, I'm the best person here at that. But what I've been able to learn early on is the stewardship of time. So the moment I learned how to steward my time correctly, okay, well, I could allot some time to this. I could allot some time to that. Then I could allot this time here. And then I could vacation here. And then here I could spend this time with my kids. And in this time here, I could spend it with my wife. I could do date nights here. I could separate this time for my mother here. Right? I can do this with my pastors. I could do this with the youth of the church. When I've learned to steward my time,
that list becomes big.
Yes.
And you don't realize that you're able and capable of doing all of that because you're able to steward your time.
You have it in you to be able to steward. Because again, God gives the manual, the instruction book when he gives you the gift. He gave you the gift of time. You also have the instructions of how to use it.
Right.
But we don't read the word.
Yes. Oh.
So how would we know that we're supposed to manage our time? Well, we wake up every day and we don't realize it's a gift.
Brother, I didn't even put that together, that you were putting that together, bro. The instruction manual is the Bible, bro.
It's there.
Oh, my God.
But a lot of us rely more on what a pastor said in January 7th at 6:15 p.m.
Don't do this,
bro. What they said then for us to do we remember more that terminology that was said that day, right, in church. Or we remember more the conversation that we had. And listen, I love my pastors. I respect, I honor them all the time. I say this, the best pastors I've ever had, and I won't trade them for nobody.
I know.
So that's like not even needs to be said already.
Right.
However, we have I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm going to say an over-idolization of pastors.
No, that's facts.
And so we're not reading scripture. And because we don't take the time to read scriptures, we don't understand that time belongs to God.
Right.
And because it belongs to God, if he gives it to you, it becomes a gift.
Yes.
And then that means you have to steward what's not yours.
Yes.
And if you don't steward it correctly, you waste time.
Right.
And there's one thing in this world that you can never get back.
Oh, it's time.
And that's time.
Oh, my God.
That's why Ecclesiastes is my favorite book.
Wow.
I recommend for everybody to go out there. Solomon understood,
tonight.
Bro.
Ecclesiastes 3, right?
Ecclesiastes 3 is my favorite chapter in itself.
I'm going to read that
The book as a whole is just mind-blowing to me. How a man that was given the wisdom above all men to ever be created.
Wow.
The riches that all men which they had. He was given all of it. But because he mismanaged time. He got to a point of reflection. At the end of his life, it was written, this book.
Wow.
Right? Because you could pick up on it based on the scriptures. I think it starts on chapter 7 or 8. It starts describing at what stage he was in.
Oh, okay.
And
so
you start realizing, hold up, it took him towards the end of his time to realize that he wasted time in things that didn't matter because his wisdom got so high up in his head that he believed that he could manage it on his own.
Wow.
And so he brought in false idols, false gods. He brought in different women that had those things and those pagan roots.
Yes.
And brought them to Israel. And so it integrated with the blessed people of Israel.
Man.
And so a lot of people that didn't have strong faith broke from it, right? It brought curse over the nation of Israel because of bringing those idols in there. And it all was because he couldn't steward what God gave him.
Wow. Bro, that's excellent. That's an excellent. See,
the lost art of stewardship.
It's a lost art.
People don't know, but it's not talked about. Right?
And anybody can be full guilty.
Yes.
Anybody. That's the thing is that anybody that you see that you look up to can fall short of stewarding their time, stewarding something well.
Yes.
Because we have many things to steward. It's not only time. It's not only our bodies. Many, many things that we have to steward, bro. And it's, bro.
It's in it. And for my Spanish people out there, we have a lot of Spanish listeners that have already asked us to do, pods in Spanish, which we have the option on YouTube. You can kind of see the subtitles there. So that's, unfortunately, we're not going to do just that yet. Who knows? But for now, that's not part of the plans. However, you have that option. But for them, what it's called is mayordomía, because I know they'll ask. Some of the folks that do listen and don't understand every word.
Right.
Es mayordomía. Nosotros somos llamados a ser mayordomos. Right? We're called to be stewards.
That's what the steward word
right?
is.
So
I would have never guessed that one. I'm going to be honest. I would have never guessed that. And I speak Spanish, but I would have never guessed that one.
And I actually knew it in Spanish first, funny enough. And that word was so intriguing to me that I had to look into it. And that's what brought about, right, this curiosity. What are we stewards of, right? And so that was number 2. Number 2. Unless you have something to add, I want to add something else. I want to bring number 3 because I have a couple more to bring up.
Keep hitting it.
And the third thing that we're supposed to be good stewards of is our treasure, which is our money and our resources. The most common one. Now we're going to talk about.
Yes.
In Matthew 6:19 through 21, it says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where the thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be as well."
Wow. I love it. It's great.
It's biblical that we have to work. And with the sweat of our foreheads.
That's right.
We have to sustain ourselves. That's biblical. That's understood. That's part of just human nature.
Yep.
Right? That's how we're supposed to sustain ourselves. But, right, when we start making the money, when we start getting the resources, I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little harsh, bro.
Go ahead, bro.
It's going to sound a little harsh, but I think you're going to agree. And if you disagree, let's do it. We could do it here. There's no problem.
Let's see, bro. Let's see.
But I think you're going to agree with me because we came from a similar background. We're both from New York City. You're from the nice area. No.
Bro, what?
No. We're both from New York City, right? We're not from the best areas, obviously. We grew up, in difficult neighborhoods, crime-ridden, gang-infested neighborhoods.
Yeah,
and so,
bro, that's crazy. I keep forgetting that I come from there, bro.
Yeah, but by the grace of God, we're here. Right? And when you come from impoverished communities, right? When you come from communities that are less privileged than others, when you come from the crime infestation, right? You come and you see a lot of people on, and I'm not downing anybody that's on it. If we need the help, we need the help. But you see a lot of people on food stamps. You see a lot of people on unemployment. You see a lot of people trapping in the streets trying to make money. They can't get a job, right? Different hustles, right? You steal something, you're trying to sell it in the hood, right? You're trying to sell it in the projects downstairs. You got the people hiding things in their jacket, trying to give it to you off the truck. I remember back when I didn't know any better, buying sneakers off the truck, right? And a day off the truck, go brand new sneakers for $80 when they cost $250, $200. Wow. I'm like, man, this is a deal, right?
This is a deal, no, of course.
But you got a lot of people doing these things, right? And most of them had the opportunity to have finances and resources, right? In the United States of America, we're privileged where we have school is public for the most part. Everybody, no matter how less privileged you are, you can go to school and educate yourself.
Wow, that's a blessing, ultimately.
And ultimately, it's a blessing because there's a lot of third world countries where people can't go to school.
Right.
There's no buses. There's no transportation. Schools can't be built because there's no resources to do it. We have the ability to do that. We're educated on how to use our money correctly many times, right? But we fall into the trap early on of what our surroundings teach us to do with money, which is focus on the visuals, right? I want a nice car. I want to drive around the hood. So I'm going to be in an apartment with 7 people living there, with 8 people, with 10 people, with 1 bedroom, with roaches and rats, with piss in the elevators. I'm going to be there, but I'm going to drive a Bentley through the hood.
Oh, ghetto fabulous.
That's the way to do it, right? I'm going to pull up to the hood, but I'm going to pull up with $300 J's.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up with my chinchilla jacket back in the day,
Yes.
right? And so what we didn't understand or were never taught is that the time that we had to do all these things that could have gotten us in trouble, that led us to live a life based on appearances, right? That never had any foundation behind it.
Right.
If we stewarded what we learned correctly and how to manage our finances, those same people given a little bit of education on how to be good stewards and understanding that the little that they do have still comes from God. It's a gift from the heavens.
Yes.
I guarantee you that we wouldn't have so many people struggling and suffering the way they are. If they only understood that what little they have is still given by God and they're supposed to be good stewards of it.
Yes. Oh, my God.
But since it's a lost art.
It was lost in the sauce, bro. Over time, it just started becoming, as we get closer to the end, and as we get closer to the end, it'll become more obvious, bro.
Bro, how many people you seen in the hood that came across money and lost it?
Oh, my God. You know how many people win, actually, the lottery? Because, you know, in those...
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Bro, let me tell you something. In those neighborhoods, bro, very popular. They're going to the bodegas. They're going to the corner stores.
Yes.
They're going to buy 7 scratch-offs at least.
Yes.
And you know that, and I know this, and you know this personally as well, because in the morning when I'm trying to get my butter roll, or when I'm trying to get my cream cheese and jelly bagel toasted, you know what I'm saying? In the morning, or bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yes.
I gotta wait in the line with 7 people trying to buy scratch-offs. So I already know.
I remember that. I remember. I couldn't get my bacon with cream cheese neither.
You know what I'm saying? And when people,
dang, man.
or people, 76 giving their lottery numbers. Brother, I'm trying to buy my butter roll, bro.
Yeah.
So I remember it very well.
Yes.
It's because, you know, you live in poverty, bro. So you're hoping for a miracle of some sort.
Yeah.
Naturally, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to play the lottery every day. There's 2 things going on there. Okay? You're spending half your salary on scratch off and lottery.
Yep.
You're not being a good steward of your money.
That's
right.
right.
Your finances.
That's right. Because look what you're spending it on.
Right.
Get quick, rich schemes, which those are where it started.
Right. And what about the people who win? Now, they weren't a good steward then. They spent half their money to get lottery tickets.
Right.
They win, somebody by the grace of God, because it can only be by the grace of God that you win $100,000.
Yes.
But then now you see those same people. Everybody in the neighborhood knows who won.
Yep.
Oh, man, that's the guy. Yo, bro, you're going to be living large. You're going to be living big. Bro, I come back in 3 months.
They don't got it no more.
My man is there, still, right there in the corner, right next to the black gate outside of the projects, with a 40 in his hand. Okay? And he may have 2 less teeth.
How many
than
of
when
those
I saw him
people
the first
take
time.
the first fruits of what they win and give it to God?
Bro, we're getting into deep waters, bro.
What about the first fruits?
Bro.
Because that's what I believe that correct giving is nowadays.
Yes.
The first fruits of what we receive, giving it to God. And so these people that you're referring to, that we're talking about, they can win the lottery, which is a perfect example.
Yeah.
And they end up in the same place as before they won it.
They blow it, bro. They completely blow
because
it
they couldn't steward what they won.
Because they couldn't steward what they won, bro.
And so our finances also belong to God. The Bible says he is the owner of all gold and silver.
Oof.
What's more valuable than gold and silver?
Oh, my gosh. In this world, nothing.
So if he's the owner of that, he understands what finances, good, high-level finances look like. And so he's also given us the capacity and the ability to make good decisions with the money that we do have in our hands. Most people stay poor because they make bad decisions with what they receive in their hands. It's not because they never received the opportunity.
I don't think you guys are listening or understanding. Everything is an example of stewardship, bro. Everything is an example of stewardship. You guys were tunnel vision on money and not realizing everything that we have. This microphone is not mine.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is not mine.
No.
We do it to glorify our Father in heaven. And because this is all his.
Yes.
Paul understood that everything was his. That's why when the people wanted to eat the meat from the market, he says, even though there's nothing wrong with it, because everything belongs to God.
To God. Yes.
I will still choose.
Hallelujah.
To not eat in front of my brother if it causes stumbling. But the point that I made there is that he knows, even Paul understands, everything belongs to God.
Yes.
So in reality, possessing something in and of itself is not a sin.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with it because it belongs to God, is your intention.
Yes.
Right? And if you can be a good steward of that, right? If you can really protect the investment that God has put in you. And God invests in people. When he has a purpose for someone, it's an investment he's making in you.
You know, that's a beautiful way to break it down. I have a family member that every other month they're falling at their job and breaking a ankle, breaking a wrist, breaking their neck, breaking their back to sue the company.
Oh my, I did not hear that. Whoa, bro, I did not expect that, bro.
You thought this was going to take a different turn.
Yeah, bro. Yo, that's wild.
They're experts at suing companies. And the funny thing is that they're so methodical in their approach that they win the lawsuits every time.
What the?
They win every time.
Oh, so they're professionals at
They're
this.
a professional, and I can't say no names. I don't want
It's a
nobody
family
getting
member.
in trouble.
Wow.
But it's a family member that every time I see it, I just shake my head. Right? They're in their 40s. If they've held, I'm not exaggerating, if they've held 4 jobs their whole life for longer than 6 months, no exaggeration, then I'd be right now, I'd be lying to you.
Bro.
If I tell you they held 4 jobs more than 6 months, right? The way that they like to live their life is receiving this money. Now, they've received good chunks of money, right? $75,000, $50,000. At the least, I think it was like $33,000 with a settlement that was received. So they've gotten the opportunity to get some money through all the breaking that they've done with their body. That person right now is living in one of the worst parts of Brooklyn with nothing to their name in a 1-bedroom apartment with kids, multiple.
It's just a trend, man. It's just a
studio,
theme that we're seeing nowadays.
But what's the problem, Christian? That even when they got their money from that lawsuit, which was done in a way that I don't agree with, right? To try to scheme the system to get the money. But even when they got it, because they did not learn the art of stewardship, they lost it all, and they're back in the same position as when they started.
Oh my
God. So I'm giving a warning to all of the viewers out there, right? I'm warning you that if you're taking stewardship lightly, then you could be costing your whole life by not stewarding everything that God has put in your life correctly.
100% facts.
That's including your kids. That's including your finances. That's including your time. Everything that you have access to when you wake up, when you open your eyes in the morning, it's an opportunity for you to steward it in a spiritual way where it pleases God. Do not think everything belongs to you, because that is a selfish motive. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt some people. It's also demonic in nature.
Oh man, you know they hate when you say that, bro.
They dislike it. They throw shots. They come for my neck. But I'm gonna continue to say it because I want to make sure people understand the severity of their actions when it comes to a lack of stewardship.
Yes,
God is putting things in your hand, and you are destroying it single-handedly,
throwing it
by
out
making
in the trash.
bad decisions and bad decisions and bad decisions, and not learning from them.
It's demonic. You're right, bro. Because anything that pushes you towards either not appreciating the things God has given you, depreciating it, getting rid of it, or handling it badly, is not godly.
It's not
so
godly.
By nature, by extension, is demonic, bro.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And, I want to take this opportunity here to bring out my friend coconut water. This is organic coconut water.
Oh man.
No sugars added from concentrate, which, like I said, it's like maybe 3 coconuts here. And this is what, 11.1 ounces. Is about 2-3 coconuts because we're getting the real thing.
That's right.
This is nature's Gatorade, right? This is better than anything that has all of those grams, 30, 40 grams of sugar that you have to drink 4 or 5 cups and you're still not satiated. This is it right here. Do yourself a favor. Get this in your body. You're going to feel refreshed. You're going to feel the energy. You're going to feel the boost. This is it. Kirkland, coconut water. Make sure that it's organic. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
I love when you do that, man.
Yeah.
Every episode. It's funny, bro. But it's exactly what it is, right? And it's something that is not of God, is demonic in nature. And it doesn't mean, hey, the devil is controlling your body and making you not do these things. Because I feel like people take it that way when you say
When
it.
you say it's demonic,
it's like a demon is entering into your body and
zombie,
controlling you like an avatar, making
Yep.
you do things. Like, bro, it's when something's demonic, it just means it's not godly.
Yes.
Okay? That's just what it means.
Yes.
So people need to understand that. I feel like that's a huge thing. But, there's other things. And I had some notes here that I wanted to read. I wanted to give people an idea of what poor stewardship looked like.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And we kind of did both, you know what I mean, as we were explaining what good stewardship looks like. So many times, like the example that you gave, the person ended up in the same position that they were after winning these lawsuits. Okay? They were actually willing, they were doing 2 counts of misstewarding in their lives.
Yep.
1, they didn't steward their money after they won.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't good stewards of that. They won multiple times, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yes.
So this person had many opportunities to get his life or get his or her life together.
Mm-hmm.
And they, for whatever reason, chose not to, or chose to blow it, like almost everybody does. But then the second one is that they were willing to sacrifice and hurt their body that's not their body in order to...
The layers.
You see, there's layers to the stewardship because everything is stewarding.
Everything is God's.
They were willing to damage the body of God, the temple of God,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sacrifice it in order to get something in return, riches and money, in order to not steward the money.
Oof.
So, it will start to translate everywhere in your life. I would say start somewhere. Try to steward something the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to start seeing, as you start making it intentional,
Yes.
making an intentional effort to make sure that you're taking advantage of the tools that are being given to you, that you're realizing first and foremost that none of it is there by your power, that none of the things that you have, that the life that you have is not yours, that the house that you have is not yours, that the riches that you have is not yours,
That's
that
right.
all of the friends that you've gained, or all of the people that you talk to, that these people didn't randomly appear, but that they were given to you, because that's another thing, right? Relationships can be something to be stewarded. And at the end
That's
of the
part of that. Come on, bro. That's
relationships is another thing that could be stewarded, because God does bring people together.
Let's go there.
God does bring people together.
Let's
You
go
have
there.
something to say about that? I want you to say it. Because
No,
you have something to say.
Let's go there. Let's
ahead.
go there because you pointed me there. You're on your third wife. You're on your third wife, and you're about to lose this marriage too. You know why that continues to happen in your life? Because every time God places somebody to be your lifelong partner next to you,
Wow.
you don't know how to steward that relationship correctly.
Oh my gosh.
And you believe that your good looks, you believe that your finances, you believe that your resources, right, your charisma is what got you that person through the door. Not knowing that, again, everything belongs to God. And that person is in your home, that person is in your life because God placed them there. But because you didn't steward that relationship correctly, now you're going to your 4th and 5th marriage. And guess what? You will never settle down. You will never have a long-lasting relationship where you can build something together until you learn the principle of stewardship
Because
first.
it won't fix itself.
It's not.
It's not going to repair itself. It requires revelation,
Yes.
realization, action,
Yes.
right? Because in order to be revealed things,
Mm-hmm.
we need to know what God sounds like. And that's something that you said in one of the first episodes that was fire to me.
Yeah.
Because how can you say, when people say, I heard God's voice, I mean, sure, there's going to be a rare amount of people that say they heard it literally, but I'm talking when people say, I heard God's voice, they're not saying God whispered in their ear, bro, you got to stop doing this. I think maybe you should go about this way.
Correct.
What they mean, and because it throws people off. So I want people to understand what that really means. When you hear something from God, it means you heard his voice. But how did you hear his voice? Okay? You hear his voice through his creation. Through the world around you, through the things that happen to you, through what people say to you, and through what people deposit in you.
That's right.
Is how you hear God's voice.
Yes,
but
brother.
you need to be able to recognize God's voice. And you said this in one of the first episodes. How do we recognize God's voice? Why are people deaf to the sound of God's voice?
Yeah.
Because they don't read their word.
Yeah. The major key.
The instruction manual for life.
Read the
is
word.
in the Bible. And it will tell you and it will instruct you how to listen, how to talk, how to draw close.
Yeah.
And how to cultivate, right?
Hallelujah.
That relationship with God. And the result of the cultivation, right? Because now revelation kicks in. Because when you steward a relationship with God and you steward it right and you make sure that it is the most precious thing in your life,
Yes.
that's called good stewardship.
But they don't understand what God says about how you treat your wife because they're more fragile than glass. Wives don't understand how to treat their husbands because they haven't read the scriptures.
Yes.
Right? About how to submit. You know what? There is modern demonic culture.
Here we go.
Of woke woman.
Oh,
right? Because this is the woke culture, right? What they're doing is they're negating the efficacy of the word.
Oof. How?
Because the word says submit to your husband.
Oof. Bro, they're not ready for that one, bro. Oh, my God.
But you see, right now, there's some people right now getting convulsions.
I know.
They're throwing things at the TV or at the screen, at the phone. They just slam their phone. How dare he?
And they're also saying, what about your wife? What about you?
That's right.
You got to also...
Yeah,
right away, right? The deflection.
If your wife needs this, if your wife needs that. Well, I've read the scriptures and I know how I have to treat my wife. That's why by the grace of God, I've been able to sustain through ups and downs.
Oh, no, you're never going to be without
the
it.
art of stewardship. I've been with my wife for 19 years.
Dang, bro.
We're going to hit 19 years.
Bro, you're like 50, bro.
It almost feels like it when I say that. But I had to learn how to steward my relationship.
Of course.
She had to understand what the word says about submission. Right? She'll tell you that herself. I mean, soon enough, the viewers will be listening from her herself.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Right? And she can tell you that she had to learn the art of submission. But it's difficult because this is the woke culture.
Of course.
And so right now it's woman empowerment.
Right.
Right. Women are supposed to be self-sufficient.
Right.
I don't need no man.
I don't need no man. I could do this by myself. I want my money. I want my career. I want to be able to spend money on myself.
I make my own money. Right. I pay my own bills. I don't need nobody.
Right.
Demonic mentality that the devil has tried to integrate into society and into this culture. And he's done a very good job at it.
To rip the marriage apart.
But we rip that mentality in the name of Jesus.
In the name
by
of
the
Christ.
Blood of the Lamb and the power of his testimony.
That's right.
The Bible is still today alive and well, just like it was thousands of years ago when it was written.
That's right.
And when it was specific, speaking about the role of the man and the role of the woman.
That's right.
Right.
It's a divine role.
But how are we going to steward a relationship correctly when we don't even know how to submit? And man don't even know how to submit to God. So you want to teach your wife
instructions
how to submit to you, but you can't even submit to your head, which is Christ.
Wow.
I have an issue. You know this about me. Learning or listening to people that haven't gone through it or lived it themselves.
Yes. Of course, bro, because and it's a natural thing, bro. A lot of people think like that. You're not going to take advice from someone, who's homeless. telling you how to become successful and get $1 million.
How to live in the house of your dreams.
You're not going to.
Right, it's going to be difficult for me to
no
listen
offense to the
that.
homeless guy, but it doesn't make sense.
No.
You got to be able to show with your fruit.
Correct.
That your advice is true.
So relationships. I want to read what it says here in Romans 12:10. It says, be devoted to one another in love.
Mm-hmm.
Honor one another above yourselves, because it's not only a wife and husband relationship. It's friendships. It's with your kids.
Yes.
It's with your other family members, right? It's bosses, right? It's people that are subordinates to you. How to maintain those relationships. There's a way to steward them correctly.
I love it. I love that. It's not only your wife. It's not only your spouse.
It's a relationship stewardship position. What is your posture when it comes to relationships, right? Do you think you're the end-all be-all? Are you the last Coca-Cola in the desert?
No, I love that one.
Right? Or maybe if you work together cohesively as a unit with the people that God has placed around you,
right?
Because you learned stewardship, maybe that elevates you and take you to the next level. Right. Some people aren't successful because they want to do everything on their own.
And you know what? That's most people. And even a lot of gurus will tell you, listen, if you really want to become successful, you need a team.
Correct. Second scripture, Hebrews 10:24 and 25. It says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing.
Wow.
But encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching.
Yep.
God puts people in our lives for a reason.
That's right. That's right.
Some people are for a season, though. But because we don't understand that they're in our lives because God allowed them to be there, we think that maybe it was just a coincidence. We leave them in our lives too long, and those could be the very same people that never let us grow.
Wow, that's deep, bro. That's a deep one.
Never let us grow, bro.
That's a deep one. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, how can you tell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to be able to tell whether somebody's there for the long haul, or if they should be there for the long haul, or if they're not?
You know, Jesus told the disciples at one point in time that this was not the time for praying and fasting. You know that? He said there's going to come a time.
Yes.
When you will have to do all that and more. When the Son of Man will no longer be with them.
That's right.
Right? There was also going to come a time when, even though they went together and did almost everything that they did during the 3.5 years of ministry of Jesus together, there was also coming a time when they would have to separate to be able to spread the gospel to the different nations.
That's right.
There's a season for people to stay in your life, and there's a season designed by God for people to leave your life.
Right.
And many of us were so invested in creating our own miracles.
That's a deep one.
And believing that the people that are there, even though they're destroying us and we're seeing the negative impact of them in our lives, we continue to keep them there, right? On our own accord, in our own calculations, thinking that they're good for us, when God a long time ago gave us signs and wonders that person should no longer be there. Right? How is it that we can't even steward a relationship correctly, brother?
Bro, these are all things entrusted to us to be able to cultivate and take care of, bro. And a lot of the times, I mean, that as society starts getting closer and closer to the end, bro, I start realizing and I start seeing the world, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And you start to see all of the things that are in the Bible that God's word reveals to us.
Yeah.
Right? And all of the things that we're supposed to have, the traits, right? The attributes of God that we're supposed to carry, you start seeing them dwindle and become less and less and less and less. You know, my body, my choice, right?
That's a popular one too.
It's our body. It doesn't belong to somebody else. The whole idea is that these things in my life belong to me. That's a demonic way to think.
Say it with your chest, brother. They could squirm if they want. They could go in the comments and try to harass us all they want. whatever God is calling me to say and to call out, I'm going to call out
That's
and
a
cast
fact.
it out.
You're right.
You call it out and you cast it out, because if not, it's going to stay and become a bondage in your life.
Facts.
And you hit on something and it's like crazy enough. I had all these points, and every time you hit on something, it's like you're leading me to that point. Like we're in like
It's a unison
mindset right now.
That's awesome.
You hit on what God gives us.
Mm-hmm.
And the next principle is the stewardship of our talents. Talents.
This
right?
is great.
Which is our gifts and our abilities.
Yes.
Because not all of us have a 48-inch vertical. Jordan did.
Dang.
LeBron does. Are you LeBron James?
No, absolutely not.
Are you Michael Jordan?
Absolutely not. I'd probably fall.
Right.
Like break
Are
my
you
leg or
Derrick
something.
Rose? That's another guy that had a 48-inch vertical. Right? They were given talents. These are things that no matter how hard you work on, you can't achieve.
Wow.
Because it is a talent and a gift from God. Right? And so when you have something that others don't have, no matter how hard they work, do you not realize that because it's a gift, because it doesn't belong to you, you're supposed to steward it correctly? This is what the word says about stewarding talents. In 1 Peter 4:10, it says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received. This is what you need to do with your gifts. I want everybody to pay close attention, that you're listening. If you're doing something else, stop doing what you're doing. Right? If you're multitasking, this is not the time to multitask. This is the time to listen to the scriptures of God.
That's right.
This is extremely important. This is urgent. This can save your life.
Pay attention to this, guys.
I'm going to repeat it again. 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to this, to serve others. Not to get rich.
Not to be selfish. Oh my gosh. Bro.
Not to be selfish and use it for myself.
Right.
Not to hide it from the world. But to serve others.
Right.
So even the gifts that you have that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, that bring you pride, you're supposed to submit them to God and use them to serve others.
Yep.
Because our whole life, our biggest calling is to be servants of Jesus. And then to serve others.
Right.
With everything that we have.
Right.
And so the word finishes and says, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. And then this one is the one I want to finish this point with. Romans 12:6-8 says, we all have different gifts according to the grace given to each one of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement.
Wow, bro.
If it is given, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently.
Right.
If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Like, when God gives us those gifts, I think the biggest problem that we have is that comparison.
Right there, bro.
Comparison is the killer
of all motivation.
Satisfaction.
Oh, yeah, and satisfaction.
Because you can be satisfied with what God has given you if you stop comparing your gifts to the one God gave somebody else. That person that has a 48-inch vertical, maybe they're not a good leader.
Right.
Because they weren't given that gift.
Correct.
Right? Maybe they can't prophesy because that's not their gift.
Right. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses.
Right. But we spend a lifetime trying to become what others are and trying to possess the gifts that others have been given and the talents they have been given.
Right.
That we never develop our own. Never develop our own.
And you know what? I want the audience to know this, because this is something that even I've always wondered a lot of times during my life, growing up and learning. And you know, a lot of times early in our lives, we start to realize what these gifts are. Because, you know, at least most of the time it comes early on in life. You start to see what it is that you're good at, right? And if anybody's watching this, okay, and they know they have a gift, something that they've received compliments about since they were a kid. Wow, like you've always been really good at this. This has always been your forte. This is something that you can do well, right? We have to understand the first principle that we went over, right? Which is that everything that is given to us, everything that we have is not belong to us, but it was given to us as a gift.
Yes.
And as all gifts, the receiver has the option to receive or to reject.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So as a gift is coming, I can either receive this gift fully, realize that the purpose of this gift, God doesn't give gifts because for fun and giggles. He gives gifts because he has a plan already for you. And he wants you to execute with the gift that he's given in a way that is going to be of the will of God. So what we need to pray for, and what I would recommend everybody to do that knows that they're good at something, that could be basketball. It could be good at talking in public. It could be a good leader. Whatever you're good at. Me in particular, I've always been good at like editing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I used to, I grew up making movies with my cousin Chris, and we would just make animated films. We'd make fan films. These are the things that I love to do: visual effects, editing. And now I believe that the reason I had that, and that the reason I learned that throughout all this time, we talked about this in the first episode, that I have these gifts was so that I can use them towards the ministry of God, to help the Great Commission in some way. I want to be useful to God.
Yeah.
It's my desire to be useful to God. And if I'm going to have these gifts that are given to me, once you realize that they're given to you, utilize them to the best of your ability and ask God, how can I use what you have given me, Lord,
Thank you, Jesus,
in order to progress what you want from my life?
Yes.
Right? How can I use what you have given me for that?
Yes.
And that's what I've recently done.
Recognizing
what we
that.
have recently, have come together when we had our fast. These are things that now I was able to realize. And there's so many layers to revelation that we had in our fast, bro. I'm still being revealed things now about the fast, bro. That we had almost 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Because when you calculate how many episodes we're in.
Yeah, about 3 months ago now.
About 3 months.
We started it a little bit before we did launch this.
I think back on the fast and I realize something else every time. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about taking advantage of what you are given. Make use of it.
Yeah.
It's what Jesus wanted when he had given that parable.
Yeah.
When he gave each servant
a talent.
Yes,
brother.
Right? And it's like, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And you know what? People will take that as what? They'll take that as symbolic. I'm going to take it as a talent that he has given you.
Yes.
You're good at this.
Yes.
I'm going to make you good at this.
Well, I believe that's what the parable was really about, right? Speaking about what God gives to you and what you do with it. Right? That it's yours. And I spent so many years, you say that your example, which is crazy because once you mentioned that a couple times, and I never really thought about it that way. Even myself, when I first met you, again, you were like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And, it was like, I thought it was like geeky.
Yeah. You were like, what is this guy doing, bro?
We're both from New York. You're telling me you're from New York too. Right. I know in Brooklyn, what I did was play basketball.
Yes.
Right. All the time, like on baseball, when I started playing some baseball. So it was either sports or I was playing Mortal Kombat in my little Super Nintendo or N64, whatever it was back in the day. That's what I spent my time doing. Either that or like exercising, watching BT and all that stuff. MTV at that time was hot. And so like you're telling me that you're spending your time like editing, making movies, films, and things of that nature. I was like, hey, this guy might not be from New York at all.
Bro.
This guy might be capping right now. This guy not from there. Yeah. Right? But fast forward, we've been in our lives long enough to understand that, even from a leadership standpoint, when you met me, we were both just reps.
Yes.
And I never knew that God had a leadership quality inside of me in that way. I didn't believe in that in myself because I was constantly trying to compare my talents to others. And I said, well, I don't got this. I don't got that. I don't have this. I can't talk like this. I can't communicate that way. Well, I have an accent here. Well, when I maneuver myself like that, it doesn't come out the way that it came out to this guy. And God had to show me, brother. God had to show me maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was when it came to me, like the conclusion of God's revelation in my life that God made me with my own talents. That if I steward them correctly, I would see them develop and blossom in a way that others could try as hard as they can and they won't be able to compete.
Right.
And it's not me being arrogant or me being selfish. It's me understanding that I can't do what you can do.
Right.
I could sit here and spend 2 hours editing and I think that I'm doing it from the camera and it's supposed to be in the computer the whole time. And I'm here punching buttons and I'm like, Christian, I finished the editing, brother. We on point. We got the videos. And you'll be like, that's
how do you cut this?
That's not it.
Bro.
That's not it. Because I don't have that talent.
Right.
And that's okay. Right? Because what God calls us to do is steward our talent.
Yes.
Right? Not to try to copy or emulate what somebody else has.
Right.
And like you said, you hit on a key point. I think from very early on, we start showing signs of what our talents are.
Yes.
What our gifts are that God has given us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, it might not be that I'm athletic or that I lift weights for 2 months and I'm already a bodybuilder.
Right.
That might not be my talent.
Right.
Right? But again, maybe I could move in certain spaces in a way that you can't. And you've tried, but that's what's unique about everybody.
Right.
And about how God creates us to become a body.
Right.
A body. That's why in the churches, you see that when the word describes the body and the functions of the body, and some of us are called to be arms and some of us feet, right? And some of us head, right? But each member serves a purpose in the body.
That's right.
Right? Imagine a body without hands.
How would you catch yourself?
A body without feet. And that, unfortunately, there's people out there struggling with those situations, but, you know, in a literal sense, it's difficult to maneuver without those things.
Correct.
Right? And so we're all supposed to serve a purpose.
They're essential.
They're all essential.
All of it is essential.
Right? But some people don't become what God has called them to be, again, because they don't learn the art of stewardship.
And it's a lost art.
And it's a lost art.
Indeed, it's a lost art.
And there's another point. I want to hit on one more.
Go ahead.
There's one more here, but I can't let it go to waste. And it's the stewardship of creation. That's the last one I want to hit on.
Wow.
The stewardship of creation, because, you know, there's a desire that we have in our heart. And we're going to manifest it. We're going to call it here, because I know in God's name, we'll be doing this and our viewers are going to hear the testimony of when God moves us to the place that we're looking to move. Our desire is to one day do this podcast from Costa Rica.
Oh my gosh, you know it.
Right?
I would love to.
Beautiful ecosystem. You know, the air quality, the birds, the animals, the water, right? The fruits, the plants, the vegetables, the dirt, everything is just different.
It's the closest you're going to get to paradise.
It's just the closest
I think so,
to the
man.
Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Right? And we have a strong desire to one day, whenever God's time allows, for us to be there, you know, to make our home there. And I declare in the name of Jesus that this podcast one day will be hosted from there.
Oh my gosh,
we'll be introducing it with being there. But we have to steward what we have,
right?
Even in this earth, right? When it comes to stewarding the earth, in Genesis 1:28, it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, increase in number, fill the earth, subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. And then in Genesis 2:15, he said, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Many people, brother, they don't value creation enough, right? Even though we're here and we have the desire to be in Costa Rica, there's people right now in huts and in places in Africa,
yeah, bro,
where they have no running water, where they have no access to food, they have no access to cleaning their food. They die from contamination and bacteria, right? They have to go days without being able to drink. The parents have to sacrifice what the little they do have to give it to their children, because they don't have the ability to get to places from A to B and achieve the things that we can achieve easily, the way that we dismiss being able to get in a car right now or walk to church and have access to a temple to go worship the name of Jesus.
That's amazing.
Right? These people don't have those privileges.
And in a lot of those places, it's illegal. And they will even get punished and
they
martyred.
Will even get punished.
And killed.
And we have the freedom of religion in a place like this. And so we have a desire to be somewhere else, but that doesn't mean that I haven't learned to appreciate what I have, where I am at. So wherever you are located, it doesn't matter. If God has you there, he has you with a purpose.
That's right.
And the goal is for you to pray enough, to read enough, to understand what God is calling you to do, then to go out and to execute it, loving God, doing it to the best of your ability, wanting to not only love him, but honor him in your actions. And God is going to manifest himself in such a way in your life that God only wants what's good for you. So if it's what's good for you to move somewhere else, to be in a different locale, in God's time, you will be there.
Amen.
But do not depreciate what you have in front of you.
And don't make it in your time, bro. Don't try to manipulate the timeline, bro. Because you're not appreciating what you have, the time that you're in, the season that you may be in. You got to trust in the process.
Yes.
Trust in the refinement that you need to go through. So, like, you know, I've learned that now, you know, finally. I'm just letting things go, and I'm going to let God define when it's time to make whatever moves I'm going to make.
Yeah.
And it's all about surrendering completely to him.
Yes.
And just allowing him to take control in your life, allowing him to mold and shape what it is that your movements are going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I wanted to share something here in Luke. Where is it here? Luke chapter 16, and then after that,
Luke 16.
And then I'll ask questions to the audience after that. But Luke chapter 16, verses 10 through 11 says, "Whoever is faithful in a very little is faithful also in much. And whoever is dishonest in a very little is dishonest also in much. If then you have not been faithful with the dishonest wealth, who will entrust to you the true riches?" Who is it that will entrust you the true riches?
Yeah.
If you can't even do, and if you're going to be dishonest, if you're not going to be able to steward what you have,
the little that
you have, why would God trust you with more? So it's all about levels.
Yes.
There's levels to it all. And like I said, it touched on what I said earlier. God is not going to give you more if you can't handle what you have. So do your best. Go to God. Ask him for his help to be able to endure the world that you live in, but to be also for his guidance on how to steward what he has given you. Right? There's this last call to action that I want everybody to ask themselves tonight, or whenever they're watching the podcast. What does God put in your hand today that you need to steward better? Everybody has to have an answer. If you don't have an answer, you're not looking deep in yourself enough.
Yeah.
What has God put in your hand that you need to steward better? And then just pick one area. It could be time, like anything we talked about today, time, money, relationships. For this week.
Wow, call to action.
For this week, okay? I want you to commit it to God and allow God to show you this week.
That's strong.
And make something work. And you're going to see some change. You're going to see it's going to start unraveling more and more. But do it for a week. Do it for a week. And that's pretty much all I had, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
No, me too. Listen, I appreciate all the supporters of the podcast. We hear a lot of word on kind of how it's impacting you guys. Continue to do that. Share this content. Stewardship is something that I wish sometimes that churches did a whole Bible study series on.
Yeah.
A whole preaching series on. I mean, we can preach about stewardship for days and days on days and give examples of times in the Bible when people didn't steward what God gave them correctly. And when they did, I mean, the whole nation of Israel in the Old Testament was littered with example of kings that were given stewardship over Israel, and they lost it all, right? And went into captivity and went into exile because they couldn't steward what God gave them, right? And then we have examples of the people that did and how God prospered Israel and put them in a position of power, right? In a position of privilege because they were able to steward what God had given them, those kings. And so that's what I leave with you guys, you know. Just become good stewards. Pray on this.
Yes.
Pray on this. Think long and hard. What are the things in your life that you haven't been stewarding correctly?
Right.
And then, as Christian says, leave it in the hands of God. Leave it in the hands of God. That's what I've learned in my life. And it's a humbling feeling when you recognize finally that you're not in control of anything, that nothing that you have truly belongs to God. No matter how good you think you are at it, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to God.
Right.
And the moment that surrender, that posture of surrender, is what you take, you're going to see a change in everything around you.
Right.
Everything around you. So thank
guys, please make sure that you're hitting that like button if you enjoy the content, guys. Only if you enjoy the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already hit subscribe, it's going to let you know every single time we make videos, you're going to get a notification. But make sure you also click on that little notification bell. That way you really do get push notifications on your phone and stuff like that. A lot of people miss the podcast, so it's a very beneficial. You know what I mean? That way you don't miss it and stuff like that. So, guys, thank you guys so much again for the amazing support that you guys have all been giving to us. And it is all, we always give it to the glory of God.
Yes.
Everything that we do, we're doing it just to magnify Him and not to do anything in our own of our own initiative. So, thank you guys so much again. And I guess this is it. Until next time, it's
episode 11, Dry Bones Podcast. Yes. We are out. We are out. Take care. Thank you guys for your time. Deuces.
Peace.